welcome to the Swift Half, your weekly session of chat from the UK OCR and adventure running scene. Each week, pub landlord Alan and our favourite regular Ian discuss races, runners and anything else that comes to mind. So pull up a pew, pour yourself a drink and join us for the Swift Half.
You're listening to the 52nd most popular podcast for listeners who think that Bar Tat is a cheap and cheesy drinking establishment.
Ian, my friend, it's that time of the week. Welcome to the Swift Half. How are you, my friend?
I'm great, Alan. And given that I expected you'd be a frostbitten corpse by now, having gone up Scarfell, you're looking remarkably well.
I'm actually feeling remarkably well, if I'm honest, Ian. I didn't on Saturday when I did it. I'll talk a little bit about it in a bit, but I didn't on Saturday. But yeah, I've recovered really fast. I'm in a good recovery mode. I was back at work today as well, so that's always a bad day. You know, the first day you go back to work after you've been off, how flat do you feel? I was like this morning. I was like driving to work with Paula in the car, and I was like, I didn't say a word to her for like a 20-minute driving to work. There was no words said at all, and I went, I don't want to go to work, and she was like, no, neither do I.
Well, you would go back to work on a Friday, Alan. Come on. You know, it's weekend again. You should have just took that one day off. Was it really that important to have that one day for the future?
No, this is another funny thing as well. I've got to say this because I'd actually booked today off as a holiday and didn't actually realise I got into work and saw that my diary was empty. And I was like, oh no, and I've driven to work, so I was staying in work. So yeah, I had actually booked it off, but I went into work. Yeah, that's a typical Alanerism, that. Yeah.
That is. It may be time to go and get a checkup.
For old age dementia.
Potentially, or just being from Yorkshire, because you're heading in and doing a day's work when you really don't need to do a day's work. I'm concerned that you spent too much time away from Yorkshire and you're losing your Yorkshireman ways.
Never, Ian. Never gonna. I'm Yorkshire through and through, born and bred. Yeah, I might have lived out of Yorkshire for a little while, but yeah, I know. It's just I've just forgot about it. It's more old age and dementia, I think, than anything else, or maybe not dementia, just getting old.
Probably. And it's funny how we talk about regional differences sometime. I'll just give a quick shout out to Jimmy Marshall. If you remember last week, we were talking about Newcastle fans not wearing any tops. Listeners who weren't around last week, it's not as exciting as it sounds. These are overweight Geordie blokes. But anyway, he made a good point that if that's actually what happens, who are they selling replica tops to?
I don't know about Newcastle. Talk about Newcastle. Did you see that Greg Norman was at the Newcastle game of the weekend? I saw something on Greg Norman was at Newcastle game, but he kept his top on. So maybe they're selling him to the Live Golf delegates, and that's where all the Newcastle shirts are going.
That would make a lot of sense. What, like they have them hung up in the stores, but they only actually have one of every size, and we don't expect to sell any of them, but it's kind of a front, and in actual fact, they're just shopping them around the world.
Exactly. Shall I tell you a little story about Newcastle? I don't know if I've told this on the podcast before, but you know, when I was a bit younger, I used to go to football matches and things like that. And I went to a Chelsea football game, and it was Newcastle v Chelsea in the cup. I want to say around about 94, maybe 95, something along those lines. And I wasn't a Newcastle fan. I was just a football fan. But I'd happened to be given a Adidas tracksuit top, and it was purple and black. And at the time, you know, there's nothing wrong with just purple and black Adidas tracksuit top, which I put on, you know, and I've got my Levi's on and my Gazelles, and, you know, typical football fan at the time. And we was in a pub, and we were watching this pub, and all of a sudden I heard big group of Chelsea fans singing, "We hate Newcastle and we hate Newcastle, we hate Newcastle and we hate Newcastle," as they do, you know, and a bit of banter going off. And I'm stood at the bar, and this Geordie taps me on the shoulder, and he went, "They're shouting at you, mate." And I went, "Well, why would they be shouting at me?" He went, "Because you've got Newcastle's new tracky top on." Didn't know this. Yeah. So I turned round, as you do, and I turned round and I said sorry lads, but I'm not from Newcastle. And it went silent for about 10 seconds. And then it went, we hate Northerners and we hate Northerners. We hate Northerners and we hate Northerners. Which was quite funny at the time.
Oh, you mentioning that? I think I've talked on the show previously about how we took Will Chung and Matt B. Davis to watch the rugby game, and we went as neutrals. And I will say, being a neutral fan is actually quite scary, isn't it? Because you think that being neutral means you can just enjoy the game, but what it actually means is both set of fans don't particularly like you.
That's right. Yeah, it's even worse being a bit of a neutral. But it's fun. It was fun. But to finish this story off, though, which was even more funny, I walked over to them and I went, "Look, lads," I said, "I might be north, but I'm not here for any trouble or all like that." And they went, "Well, you found it if you really want it." And I went, "I don't want anything." I says, "I've just come here for a quick pint, so let's just leave it at that." And they all went silent. And I thought, "Oh, that's pretty cool." They're like, I'm a big lad. They've shut up. And I turned around, and everyone at the bar had taken off the jackets, and it was a field of black and white stripes at the bar. So I was thinking I was a little bit tough, like saying to them, "Look, I don't want trouble, but it's like I'm here." And it wasn't. No, they stopped shouting because the Newcastle fans in there.
How could we tell
Yeah.
we were Newcastle fans? They had shirts on.
Because they had shirts on, yeah, which was strange. They don't know why. But that's what made me think about it. Let's talk about a Swift half stuff. What are you drinking tonight?
Tonight, in honor of the fact that more tickets have gone on sale, although not in this country, I'm drinking a bottle of Oasis.
Oh, nice one. So Oasis tickets have gone on sale in other countries, have they?
Yeah, over in America, I think, I want to say New York, maybe Miami, and a few others. I know they're in New York. They're sadly not in Atlanta, which probably means that friend of the show, Sophia, and friend of the show, Matt, won't be able to go and listen to some Manx and Wailing On. So they'll just have to continue to listen to this show for a Boltonian and a Yorkshireman.
I like that. I like that. I've gone down your route today. I've got a Tesco meal deal.
Oh, where was your Tesco base? Because listeners of the show know I go to Haydock Tesco for my meal deal. Where'd yours come from?
This was in Kendal. So while I was up in the Lake District. So this was up in Kendal. It wasn't really a meal deal, but it was a Tesco deal. And it was Copperberg alcohol-free cider, 4 bottles for £5, £1.25 each, instead of the usual £2. So I got 4 bottles. Bargain.
That is an absolute bargain, Alan. It really is. And speaking about alcohol, I've got a funny story which I don't think was recorded anywhere, but I did a guest spot on the Hybrid Sports podcast or Hybrid Sports Media podcast, which is run by friend of the show, James Kelly, the Australian.
I do, yeah.
His sister is a honest to God journalist, and she set up a podcast to cover all hybrid stuff and fitness stuff down in Australia. And we were chatting, as you do, before and after a podcast. And she mentioned she lived in London for 18 months. Okay.
Wow, yeah.
And she said she enjoyed it, but what took her aback was the drinking culture, in that she couldn't really do anything without it involving alcohol. And I kind of think that if we semi-chased off an Australian due to drinking culture, we may have a bit of a problem in this country.
That's actually about right. Because the Australians are known for a few tinnies, aren't they? That's where everywhere they're always got a few tinnies in.
Maybe it's a stereotype that isn't true. I'm not sure.
Do you think, we talk about that in Britain, though, that we do have a drinking culture in Britain, but I don't think it's as bad now as what it was 50 years ago. As in 50 years ago, everyone went to the pub. That was the thing. And now I don't see that. And even over the last, I want to say 10 years, I've seen, when you go into supermarkets, to get your beer and things like that, 10, 15 years ago, they were packed. You went down the beer aisle and there was queues to get down it. And when I go now, maybe it's just me, I go at the wrong time, and I don't really go down them, but I walk past them and they don't seem to be as busy now. I think I think there's a fitness culture. I think we're in a stage now of fitness. I mean, we do OCR and fitness racing, but I think the UK is in a fitness state at the moment.
I'd be minded to agree. And there was a report recently that nightclubs are dying out because they're just not getting the punters in. And it did make me think, my granddad and your granddad, Alan, they spent their days, they'd be going to social clubs. So on a Friday night, they'd go to the Connie Club, the Labour Club, occasionally a Lib Dem club if you happen to live in Rochdale, or just a working men's club, yeah?
Yeah, yeah,
And that was their entire culture. My dad and perhaps your dad would go to the pub, which kind of replaced the working man's club for many people. Me and you would probably go to pubs which turn into clubs. I know you kind of worked at a few of them, didn't you, which had
I do.
late
Yeah,
licenses.
yeah.
And then you have the clubbing scene, which I was kind of into, but never really was. And then I look at my young niece, who is 21, 22, and yeah, they don't do that. Or if they do want to drink, they might hire a hotel room and just go and have a mini party.
Yeah, I really think we're in this culture now, and it's a great culture to be in. I know I'm getting a little bit long in the tooth, and I'm getting a little bit old now, but I wish I'd have been involved in this culture, 30 years ago. As it started, and seeing the start of it mature. And I think leads me to our first story today is park runs had a massive, massive impact on this culture. Of not drinking and looking after yourself and that.
It did indeed, Alan. And they're about to celebrate an anniversary, aren't they?
This weekend is the official 20th anniversary of Parkrun. So 20 years it's been going. Are you going to attend one?
You know what? Probably not. And the reason for that is I forgot my barcode. I literally have no idea where my barcode is anymore. I can't remember what my login details are, so I quite literally forgot my barcode.
Yeah, I think I'm going to print mine off, and I'm going to go to my local one. I haven't been for about 12 months, I want to say. I used to do my Saturday morning training runs, do like 8, 9 miles, then do the park run, and then run 3 or 4 miles home. So I might try and get a training run in this Saturday with it.
That's a good idea. And you never know, maybe I will go and do one, but I've actually got a little bit of a couple's date on Saturday as well, which is playing on my mind. Ian Rawlinson and Kate Rawlinson, who you know, we're meeting up with them as we do from time to time. We're going playing mini golf, Alan.
Oh, cool! I like a bit of mini golf. Where at? Is this a nice place near you? Because there's lots of them cropping up now that are indoors and all lights flashing and a bar and food and stuff like that.
It's called Pop Stars. It's quite nearby. It's run by people who do Hollywood Bowl, I want to say. And yeah, never been. It's been here about 12, 18 months, maybe 2 years. I've no idea. Everything merges into one. But yeah, we're going to head there. That's around 2 o'clock. So I might go to Park Run or I might just have a run near me, Alan. But well done to Park Run and to everyone involved because it's one of those events which has kind of outgrown its originators, would you say, Alan? It's become something that probably the people who initially did it didn't expect because, and this kind of gets lost in the telling of a story. Initially, it was kind of elite athletes doing a time trial, wasn't it?
That's exactly what it was. It was elite athletes doing time trials. And then it's not a race. It's a run. But again, I know people who actually talk about their PBs as parkrun PBs. That's their PB. The first thing you say to them, oh, do you run? Yeah. You do parkrun? Yeah. What's your PB? So many people talk about it.
I do indeed. So well done to Park Run. Let's raise a glass. Here's to the next 20 years, Alan.
Cool. Let's raise a glass. Well done, parkrun. There's another event going off this weekend.
There is a little bit further away.
A lot further away than parkrun. I don't think parkrun's made it over to the other side of the pond yet. But I've got a list of all the athletes going, so and I promised a good shout out to them. So can I give a shout out to everyone going to the OCRWC this weekend?
You can do. Absolutely, they deserve a shout out, not least because Mammoth is impossible to get to. So I think they should get an extra band just for finding a way to get there, to be fair.
Exactly. I've seen living seeing the pictures of Tony Leary over there. I think he's making a bit of a break about it. He's been to El Capitan, and gone up a little bit of that, and he's been in San Francisco. So I love seeing pictures of people. But let's go through
You
everyone.
say you
Go
say that, Alan. Tony's actually lost. He's trying to find the venue.
on. So they're talking about a lot of elevation at it, which is going to be, I saw a post from Tamar mention that she might even have to walk some of it. If we're talking about an elite athlete like Tamar thinking of walking up some of those hills, that's some elevation.
It is, but she might be psyching out the competition.
True, true. If it was like me out, I would definitely be walking up them. Let's go through them. So we've got Dawn Jollies doing the age group 3K, the open 100 meters, the journeyman 15K, and the charity 5K. Jake Jollies doing age group 3K, open 100 meters, journeyman 5K, pro team relay, and charity 5K. Wendy Brothers doing the age group 15. Ramunas is doing the age group 3 and 15, and the 100 meters. I think Ramunas has got a good chance on that age group 3K.
Absolutely. I just hope the commentators have spent time learning his name like you have.
Exactly. Ramunas Wickers. Wickers for you people who don't know it. Ian Solomon, age group 3K, age group 15, team relay and charity 5K. Rebecca Cohen, age group 3K and age group 15. Exactly the same as Tony Leary, again, age group 3 and 15. Jason Morlam's doing the age group 3. Laura Curry, 15K pro, as well as the charity 5K. Tamar Barkley, age group 3 and 15. Richard Jarvis, age group 3K and team relay. Jill Flint, she's volunteering and cheering the squad on. Well done to Jill there. Well done. And I do believe that Grump is over there as well doing it. Libby Joyce, she's doing pro, 3K, 15K team and charity event. Dan Titcom's doing pro 3K, 15K and team event. Our friend Claire's over there, so hopefully Claire might get us some footage. You know what Claire's like. She doesn't tell us at last minute. She just pops on and does it all, and we all love her for it. So hope you'll just get this, Claire, and you do us some. Claire also doing age group 3K and team relay. Angie Brown doing age group 15K. Emily Spain doing age group 15K. And then John Poole doing age group 3, age group 15, team, 100 meters, and charity. And I do believe that's everyone. I hope I haven't missed anyone. I did say I'd give you all a shout out because you're carrying the flag for England and the UK this weekend.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see how you all get on. That is quite a large contingent, Alan. I know people are going to criticize and say it's not the same as 2015, 2016, when there was a mountain of kick bricks at London Heathrow, but we are in different times now. So well done to absolutely everyone who has taken the challenge to go out there, find Mammoth, and then run a race.
Exactly. I take my hat off to every one of them because you're right. There aren't as many people going over, but that's not down to anything other than there is that many world championships and big events now in different countries that people are doing, and the money's not there to go around and go and do them all, is it?
No, absolutely. Also, let's give a quick shout out to Fran of the OCR report, who will be kind of representing England. I think she's out there working with Spartan, and no doubt will be getting us some coverage alongside all the guys at OCR report.
Cool. Like it. Where shall we go to first? What do you want to talk about, Ian?
Right, should we get the little bit of sad news out the way first? I say sad, but it's kind of like a story of redemption, isn't it?
Yes.
And it came up on actually Mail Online. I'm sorry, listener, for whatever reason, it appeared on my Facebook. I recognized a Bad Boy running shirt, so I clicked on it because I was curious. And it's a story about Ali Bailey, who was in Bad Boy running for a long time. She's never really been in off-school racing, but many of you will probably know her from a running show because she was an instrumental part of that kind of taking off, to be fair. There was quite a few ambassadors, wasn't there, Alan, in those early days who really flew the flag for it and encouraged people, etc. And Ali was one of them, and she then brought Bad Boy Running on board and so on and so forth. But the story was how, despite being an accomplished ultra runner, she was actually hammered for most of the time doing it. She'd be drinking bottles of wine whilst doing ultra marathons, barely eating. She had withdrawal symptoms when she was out doing some of the rat race co-pilot things, because people might remember she worked for Rat Race doing a lot of their bucket lists. And she's wrote a book now about her experience. And the story she's kind of telling is alcoholics or functioning alcoholics can live amongst you, and you might not even know what people are going through. And running didn't save her, but it did encourage her to eventually quit the drink. So well done to Ali for doing that. Yeah, it's a hard thing to do, and addiction's always that, Ali. I know technically the Swift Half's at a pub, but I've been fortunate enough that when it comes to drinking, I can take or leave it. As long-term listeners of the show know, I've kind of moved on. Ever since I've had to work in an office on a Thursday, I've kind of moved away from the beer. Alan, again, you can take it or leave it, can't you? But for some people, you just can't.
You can't. You're quite right. And, I won't say many years ago, I think I was probably close to being an alcoholic. I was drinking 12, 13 cans of lager every night, without fail, functioning normally through in a day-to-day life. And when I read some of this, I thought, yeah, that rings a bell. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have said I was that bad, but maybe other people probably would have. When I got into running saved me. It was a turning point in my career. And I think we've talked about with a couple of our guests, it's been turning points in their life as well. Finding a sport that they can participate in without being judged, if that makes sense. And I mean, it's great that Ali's come out and said this, because I think this is it's gonna encourage people to realise that, hey, there is more to life than having a drink. I can come out of it. We talked earlier on about it being we're in a fitness decade now, or a fitness era now. And this is where people are going to go. You're quite right. I've moved away from alcohol. I think if you look back to the last 30, 40 episodes, was the last time I had an alcoholic drink. Sorry to our listeners. Everyone knows that I do like a drink. I do like the taste of beer, and that's my biggest thing. Hence, I drink non-alcoholic beer.
Oh, absolutely. And I kind of moved on to soft drinks. I will have non-alcohol from time to time. Listener, little tip. Non-alcoholic wine from Marks and Spencer's is delicious, as is Wolf Blast, and it's only a fiver. And yes, I know it's technically fruit juice, but it does taste a little bit of wine, so it is quite nice. Definitely worth a try. And I think you kind of said it correctly there. When you're in the midst of something, you don't actually realize what's going on around you. Ali probably just thought, "Oh, this is life," and then it took something to kind of pull her out of that. And yeah, she managed to fight her way out. And yeah, good luck to her going on. She's still a great ultra runner. I know she's kind of stepped away from bad boy running now, which is probably for the best from her point of view, because there are people there who drink, but they can handle their drink, if that makes sense. And it might not be the best place for a recovering alcoholic to be. So fair play to Ali. She's now got another podcast out there, listener, so go and look it up. I did terrible research, so I can't even remember what it's called, but I'm sure if you Google Ali Bailey, it'll be around there somewhere. So have a look for that, and good luck, Ali, in the future.
Yep. And if you want to see anything, go to ITVX. If you want to look at there's an ITVX link where you can watch a little video of it where she's talking about it. So moving on from Ali, who's quite open about air problems, let's move on to someone else who's been in the OCR limelight for many, many years, who's been pretty open with his problems as well, Ian, and that is Rick Burgess.
Great friend of the show. We talked previously on the show about how he had to wrap up Raw Fitness, but they try to do something coming into Christmas, aren't they?
And I'm loving this, Ian. Rick's great with his virtual challenges. I've done quite a few of his virtual challenges, and this has got some. This is basically, I've got some virtual medals from Raw Fit. It's called Be Accountable. He's had some made up, and it's all about steps, Ian. How many steps can you do? So it's per day, yeah. and you've got to choose between 7,000, 10,000, or 12,000. And can you keep it up for 30 days?
Oh, that's difficult. I've just literally checked my steps counter, Alan. Do you want to have a guess on how many steps I've done today?
Well, let's have a look at, and I'll look at mine. How many steps have you done?
2,288. I need to walk at work.
Oh, Ian, that's I've done currently 10,604.
I'm guessing that's what happens when you go into work when you're not meant to be there, Alan. You're just pacing up and down, weren't you?
Just pacing up and down. I think I do 10,000 a day. I think every day that I haven't done a day for a long time where I haven't done 10,000 a day. But that's because I walk the dog. I'm out with the dog and I'm walking the dog like 3-4 miles every day. So yeah, I'm regularly get 10,000 in. 12,000 people don't realize that 12,000 steps is a lot of steps to get in.
Well, apparently I'm 10,000 shy.
Exactly. They don't do a 2001. You've got to have a full streak of 30 days of either 7, 10, or 12. And there's only 6 medals on each one, Ian.
Oh, so it's limited edition.
Limited edition. And it looks like they've got some wristbands as well. We talked about wristbands of the week on the Pint Size OCR podcast. They've got wristbands. So, Libby, Finley, get onto the wristband thing.
Are they proper wristbands or are they paper wristbands?
No, these are the rubbery ones that you can put on your bags and things like that.
Absolutely. Finley, get some. Whilst Libby is over in Mammoth and we don't really know where that is, get some of these before she can get one too.
Yeah, exactly. Talking about medals and things like that, I got a lovely medal last week or last weekend at Sea to Summit, and I well and truly earned it, Ian.
Believe so, Alan. How many days did it take you again?
It felt like several days, Ian. I'm not going to go into a great lot of detail because I'm going to record a podcast to put out next week. But I made some voice notes as I was doing it. So every 5 miles I made some voice notes. And on one of these voice notes, I actually turn around and say, I feel like I've had a new backside ripped out. And my old one has been put on a silver platter and handed right back to me. Yeah. Or worse to that effect. I've got to admit, Ian, it's probably the hardest event I've ever done. And sometimes you do an hard event and you actually say that was hard. For me, at this moment in time, that was probably the hardest event I've ever done. I have never not been able to climb. And I just could not climb on the day. Every time I hit a hill, I struggled to get up it.
Is shocking because you usually are very good when it comes to hills because of where you live. The only straight bit of ground, I think, is maybe a patch of motorway. Maybe it's a bit hilly in your neck of the woods. What I will ask is, why did you do it as voice notes, and why didn't you have like an old camcorder? We could have made Sea to Summit Blair Witch.
We actually could have. I was really tempted to take the. I've got an Insta360. I was really, really tempted to take that with me and actually do video notes. I was going around and doing it, but I made a decision at last minute because I was feeling really good, and I thought I want to race it. I actually want to race it. I don't want it to be a challenge. I want to go out and I want to race it. So I did. I met up with Craig at the start, and I did say to Craig, "Look, Craig, I'm going to be running. Really, really sorry. I know you're as fast as me, but if you want to run with me, then you're going to have to keep up," type of thing. And he didn't until I hit Scaffold Pike, and then he did, and he left me. Yeah, I think coming back from cold and flu didn't help, but Ian, it was a killer. But there was one thing that helped me get through it all.
Other than the voice notes and thinking what people are going to make of this when they find it next to your frostbitten body.
Yes. After about 16 to 17 miles in, so there was a checkpoint at 13 miles, I believe, where you could fill it with water and things like that. And then the next checkpoint was 23 miles in, I want to say. Something like that. It might even mean further. It was a good 10 mile. And I was up Scaffold and you was up and you was down. And I was up there for a good 5 hours, I want to say. I think I did 5 miles in 5 hours, something like that. That's how slow I was. And I ran out of liquid. I ran out of liquid quite early into it, 2 hours into it. So I went 3 hours without any liquids going inside me. So I was eating caffeine bullets like no one's business, and I didn't cramp. I was shocked. So I don't know whether it was that causing saliva going into my mouth as well as like the bit of it's not electrolytes, but it's got some good stuff and that in it. So I'm going to turn around and say that the caffeine bullets proper helped me while I was up there.
So they actually do work.
I believe they do, yeah. I am now 100% fan of them. And, if anyone wants them, go check out UKOCR discounts page. Use the code UKOCR for 20% off, I think. But give them a test, people, because you'll be surprised. Can't get rid of that taste, though. That aftertaste, I'm going to say, is still there, but I'm getting used to it. And especially on the mint ones, because the mint ones, it just tastes like mint after a while.
Well, I can't wait for him to bring out the electrolyte version so I can get involved in the fun. But I presume this means we are taking them on board as a partner, so we'll get the worker elves to work on the advert.
Definitely, there will be adverts coming on some of our shows very, very soon. I've agreed to take them on. And as we know, listener, we only take on things that we trust, and we were skeptical, but I'm no longer am I skeptical.
Absolutely not. They seem to have worked for you, and they are kind of winning in social media, by the way. Their social media manager, Cassie, the week before, and we didn't actually talk about this on the show, but do you remember a few weeks ago we challenged her in terms of it's taught like a pirate day?
Yes.
She actually did go out and run in full Jack Sparrow gear and hard at 5 people as she was running.
Oh, can you imagine if one of them 5 people and someone goes by and goes, ah?
No, exactly. And this week, she's kind of outdone herself as well. So this was on Tuesday, listener. So you have to go back through their socials and find it. She went and ran as a Father Christmas.
Oh, I like that. That's coming up soon, that as well, isn't it?
Santa Dashes, yeah, I believe they're overage soon.
Yeah. No, I mean it's like we're less than 2 months away. We're at 2 months, 3 months away, less than 100 days away now.
I know it's scary, but we are not that far away from last Christmas. When you've got 365 days to play with, it's always going to be.
Well, we bought some decorations at the weekend when I was up in the Lake District. We bought the little sleighs that are loaded up with presents to go on our window ledges or wherever they're going to go. I don't know where they're going to go, but they're very pretty.
I wait till we get past Halloween. I like Halloween as a holiday, and we'll celebrate that, and then we can think about Christmas.
Talking about the Lake District, by the way, and Christmas and Halloween and all that lot. It's currently Blackpool lights run, aren't there?
Yes, they are, because someone keeps forgetting to switch them off.
Yeah.
The electric bill's ridiculous.
So they're on now. This is like the time when they're on. We was going to go to Blackpool Lights and we was going to go and do a bit of roller coastering and stuff like that. However, we made his own roller coaster in the Lake District. We went over Hard Knot Pass. Have you ever been over Hard Knot Pass, Ian?
No, I follow my sat nav like a sensible person.
Well, so do I, but it took me over Hard Knot Pass. It's one of the most scariest things I've ever been over. 4-wheel drive, them hairpin bends. I was on 3 wheels at some points. The rear wheel was coming off the ground because they're that sharp and that steep. Oh, Ian, never again. Never am I going over there. People, stay away from Hard Knot, or I think the one was Rhinos Pass, spelt WRYNOSE. They are so scary. There's no wonder people I've heard people park the cars at the top and walk back down. How they're going to get the cars down, I don't know, but they're that frightened of driving down it once they've been up it. And you can't stop anywhere. Oh, it's so scary. But anyone who wants a bit of adrenaline rush, don't want to go to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, go up to Lake District and do Hard Knot Pass.
Oh, God. So, Alan, you conquered your fears on the drive up there, and you conquer the mountain eventually. But a lot of other people are conquering, well, some are a little less elevation, but still elevation over at Conquer Fitness. We've supported this race for a while now. This is their level 7, which is a fitness race in a car park, which when you say it, it sounds like, I don't know, like the offspring of the Fast and Furious movies and High Rocks.
Yeah, because actually, I've
But
got visions of doing level 1, 2, 3, 4, and going up the multi-story and different levels every time.
that's exactly what they do.
I love it.
They they start at level 1, which is actually level 0, but I guess they're using American style, eh? But they start at the basement. They do a workout. You've then got to run all the way up to the next level to do your next workout, and you just carry on all the way to the top. And then, Alan, at the top, you've got to run all the way back down.
This sounds mentally in. I'm assuming that you was there.
Yeah, I was there. It's quite local to me. It's just that Alderley Park, which is just south of Alderley Edge, but just north of Macclesfield. So Macclesfield is becoming like a hotbed for fitness racing. You know, that kind of Midlands and Northwest area. It's just so many races because, again, in the Midlands, but in the West, we had Decafit quite recently at Forders. Of course, that's a fair distance away, but it's just like that area around Stoke and Crewe. Will probably doesn't even realize this is Will Chung, but he's kind of living in the eye of the storm of fitness racing.
Will in the eye of the storm of fitness racing, and he's the biggest tough mudder person going. And I love it.
Exactly. But we went and we did some coverage. I've got to say, it was the most difficult live coverage we've ever done, not least because it was on 7 levels, which meant after they'd done the workout, I had to move fast to get up to the next one to beat them up there. And it's a giant concrete car park, which means signal is a little bit dodgy in places, but we did it. It's on at UKHXR now. Go back and watch it. I want to say it's about 45 minutes. The race itself takes 50, but I missed a bit because of buffering and that kind of thing. It's quite funny to watch it, Alan, because it is kind of like the Blair Witch Project that we were talking about earlier. In that I'll be talking and then it will just jump to the next exercise. It only happens a few times, but those blips are really kind of funny and kind of unique. So yeah, it was fun. Probably something me and you should do when you finish WTM.
Yeah.
I know they're doing a March race and they're probably doing a September. So maybe we look at the September one, Alan.
Like it, Ian.
But we do have some results, and I know you love results when it comes to Conquer Fitness because it's a team event, which means we've got
Yes.
team names.
Yes, come on, bring the team names on.
Right. So there were 3 different sets. We had in the male category, in 3rd place, we had Forfeit, which the surnames of the racers was Cunningham and Cassie. In 2nd place, we had the Basmataz, which was Jackson and Jackson.
Basmataz like that one.
And taking the podium was the Numbnuts. That was Key and Dean.
I think we've had them before, haven't we? The Numbnuts.
They might have won it last time.
Yeah.
Anyway, in 3rd place for the female, we had We Run for Fun. That was Hurst and Massey. In 2nd place, we had CFB Navy Blue, and that was Dart and Bradley. And then in 1st place, we had Fueled by Bagels, which I believe was a team from Caveman Fit, and that was Biggs and Buckley. I know them from the High Rocks World.
Love that. Fueled by Bagels.
Fueled by Bagels. And then in the mixed pair, a team which I'm sure we've had before. In 3rd place was M&M.
Yeah, we've had that. M&M, yeah.
So Dennett and Brownlee. 2nd place included Vicky Wallace, who was on UKHXR quite recently, talking about Deadly Dozen. Well, she also did this race, and her team was called Old Guns, Young Bums.
I like that one. That's a good one, that.
It is. And in 1st place, we had Burpee BFFs, which isn't as much fun.
No. definitely not.
So
Need to go
well done
fun
to
names.
we do. We'll have to think of a fun name for us, Alan, when we do it. It won't sadly be read out on this podcast because we're not getting anywhere near the podium, but we'll enjoy it. Well done to everyone who did that race. Definitely look up Conquer Fitness online. Like I mentioned, they're doing a March race. It's worth having a look. I think they're doing a solo race again next year. They tried solo, I want to say about 18 months ago, but it was probably too early for a solo race. They're trying it again. So if you want to go and do it, go and support that race. But that wasn't the only fitness race happening this weekend. Our good friends Sam and James down at Nuclear, they were putting on Nuclear Fit.
They were. I'm going to say something on this, Ian, before we talk about them. It's the first time I've seen Nuclear Fit filmed from a drone, and they put it on their social media at the weekend. How good does it look? They have gone all out to like proper make it top notch, high level presentation, everything else. Loved it, Ian.
It really does look like a cracking race that me and you need to get to next year, Alan. The only problem with it is it's not in the Wilchung storm of fitness racing. It's a little bit outside his radius.
Yeah, just a touch outside his radius, but down there in London in the other storm that's brewing, maybe just not as big as the fitness racing one.
No, exactly. I do think that it is getting a loyal following. We saw this with nuclear races. They are very good at getting an almost cult-like following because I'll go through results in a minute, Alan, but some maths in my head, it looks like they got probably close to 500 people through this weekend.
Wow, but it's getting bigger and bigger.
It absolutely is. So we had 78 people do the Storm, which is the race where you don't run, which sounds either great or not, depending who you are. They only had 5 people doing the Pro. They've struggled to get the Pro race going. I think that's the one thing we may need to tweak. In the team race, Alan, they had 118 teams. So that's what, another 240 people.
Yeah.
Male race 162 and the female race 123.
It's getting bigger, in it. It's getting bigger. But
is.
Nuclear don't always go to the elite race. They do tend to cater for everyone and every fitness level, don't they?
They do, absolutely. Should we go through the results?
Please, I'm interested.
In the female category, in third place, we had Stacey Horner, who is well known, member of Team MyZone. She only missed out on second place by 30 seconds, and she missed out to Laura Mitchell. And in first place, we had Niamh Fitzgerald, who did incredibly well, a time of 43 minutes 31. So well done to those. In the male category, Sam West, who has kind of been with Nuclear since the start. I believe he's an ambassador, or if he's not, he definitely should be because he's forever plugging it. So Sam West was third. He missed out on third place by 12 seconds to Tom Penn. Tom Penn only missed out on first place by about 40 seconds to Wesley Scorer. So such a close battle there. In the teams, it has actually broke it down. So I have the various male, female, and open mixed. So, you'll love some of these, Alan. Let's go. Okay, in the male category, third place, Fit Forest. Second place, Sam Squared. First place, Enduro Sports. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to move to the pro solos and give them a shout out, and then I'll go back to the team races because I want to finish with some of these names.
Okay.
So, in the pro race, the female second place was Alison Ewers. The female first place was Abigail Monk. In the male, we have Barry Coombs in third, Rob Moss in second, and James Taylor Medhurst in first. In Storm, we had Sarah Dutton in the females in third place, Hayley Iredale in second place for female, and Gemma Roberts, female first place. In the male category, we had Richard Daniels in third place, second to Reese Jones, who is Team MyZone, and first place to Ash Harrell. Right, getting back to the teams. In the female category, M and M were in third place. I don't think it's the same team, but they were third place.
Oh, if it wasn't, travelled well.
Yeah, exactly. Then Nick and Kel were in second place, and then on the left were in first place. The mixed teams, I'm going to do reverse of what we've just been doing. First place, My Zone Team Tourette's, which is a great name.
Yeah. My zone team Tourette's, you like that one?
Second place, Wall Balls Deep.
Oh, that's good. That's nice. Yeah, I like
And in third place, Biceps and Boobies.
that. Oh, they're quite good names, then. They're quite good names. I like them ones.
They are. We always also have amongst some of the teams that didn't qualify, we've got Blondes Have More Run, which is quite a funny one, and Biggie Smalls and Kettlebells, but bells as in the female bell.
Oh, yeah, I like that kettlebells. That's good. Play on words.
I do love the team names. Right, well done to everyone. Make sure you check out Nuclear Fit. Their season's now come to a close, but I'm sure you can book on for next year. While we're dealing with fitness racing news, Alan, should I just go through the Hyrox news we've had this week?
Give us some High Rocks news, Ian.
There's been a few things. We'll do this, what's called a crap sandwich. So, shall we go good news, slightly less good news, and then good news?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Good news, Hyrox have brought out a travel partner. And at first, I was a bit, yeah, this doesn't seem that interesting. But it's a travel partner similar to these marathon travel partners. So if you wanted to go somewhere and do a Hyrox, they'll arrange it all for you. And they guarantee you a ticket.
Oh, now that is interesting. So I could book. So we know Manchester's sold out in January. So if I went through a travel partner, I could still get a ticket.
You could. You'd have to buy a hotel at least,
Yeah.
and you'd have to buy the ticket. And it's a premium service, so it's got a premium cost. I think the cheapest hotel room, whilst I was flicking through it, was probably about 220 for Manchester, and the cheapest ticket was then 200 quid. So it is quite expensive. But if you really wanted it as a bucket list, it could be something worth doing.
That's interesting. That is interesting. That because sometimes to some people, 4.5, 500 quid's not a lot of money to some people. It might be to me, it might be to you, but to some people it's not. So it is interesting that. I wonder how many people will do that.
I don't know. I have no clue how many they need to sell to break even on it. And it is a legitimate company as well. It's one of these companies who do sports tours to other places as well, Alan. So it's not like a fly by night is trying to set this up with a link to booking.com and then adding money to it. They are a legitimate company that's been in the industry quite a while. So it would be curious to see how many people take it on. And if I'm doing one overseas, I might look at it. I probably won't take it on because I reckon I could get it cheaper, but it's definitely worth looking. And like we alluded to, if Manchester in January is your bucket list, then there is no a way to do it, albeit quite an expensive way.
I wonder if some sponsored athletes, I know there's not a lot of sponsored athletes out there, whether they will do it if they're looking to go to the Worlds and they need a fast time somewhere that they, I don't know, you know where the fastest course is, but it's the one to fast time and they can't get a ticket to go there, whether they would then contemplate doing it this way so they can get a ticket so they can hopefully set a fast time.
Potentially, Alan, I would say I wouldn't do that in Manchester because
Yeah.
we know it's a slow course, and that's why Will and Kieran beat us because they were running Birmingham, which is a fast course. Manchester's a slow course.
Yeah.
It held us up, and that's why they beat us in time. And anyway,
But they didn't do everything right though. We did everything 100%, didn't we? There was,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So that's by the by. No, we'll leave that in the past. But it's a good point, Alan, that people may see this as another opportunity to get a ticket if you really want a ticket. But speaking of tickets, I was telling you this, and I can't remember if we've discussed this online or offline, or if it's something I've discussed with someone else. But we are, I want to say, 3 weeks out from Birmingham. And if you want a ticket for Birmingham High Rocks, Golden Rocks tickets because at the time of recording, there was over 100 tickets available across all divisions.
You know what that tells me?
What's that tell you?
High Rock's bubbles burst. Everyone's coming back to OCR.
Ooh. That
Oh,
that's an
joking.
yeah, that's an interesting theory, but I do wonder whether it's a sign we're entering into another phase, which is that prior to Birmingham and prior to what's currently happening, a Hyrox ticket was a good investment because you could just sell it. You wouldn't have to worry. You could easily flog it. There'd be someone willing to buy it. Have Hyrox now reached the not saturation point, but the point where everyone who wants to get a ticket can kind of get a ticket or has got a ticket or had their fill of High Rocks?
That could be it. We've seen it in OCR. We know people that used to purposely buy 10 dirty weekend tickets, and knew they could sell them on. It wasn't until maybe the last one or the one before the last one, that they realised that they couldn't always sell them on, and make a little bit of cash for themselves. And they did it with other events and things like that. But maybe that's what's happening here. Maybe I don't think people are buying them to sell them on, but they're realising now they can't sell them, or maybe people are waiting for them and not buying all the tickets themselves. I don't know.
Yeah,
Strange.
exactly. And it probably will take a bit of a change in mindset. I can see someone amongst those 100 people will eventually cotton on that they should really flog their ticket for 50 quid or 60 quid and get something for it because there might be a buyer at 50 or 60 quid.
Yeah, yeah. I see that. So the race that I'm doing, Escape from Meriden, in November, which is my A race, and that's a sellout. That race sells out within an hour of it going on sale. And to get a ticket, you've actually got to solve a puzzle to actually get a ticket. It's that intense to get one. And people have bought tickets and they've started going on sale now. And people are selling them at face value. And don't get me wrong, we're not talking £100. We think face value. I think it's only £30 entry. But I did see one today where someone's put on selling for £15, and it got snatched up straight away. Literally, like someone snatched it up instantly. And this will be the case here. Like you say, someone will turn around and say, "I want £50 for it," and it'll get snapped up straight away.
Absolutely. And I think people have been conditioned to think, oh, you can at least get face value and maybe even transfer fee. And it's just an evolution. And I should also point out that for the other races, there's only, I want to say, about 30 tickets for Dublin. At the moment, there's only 7 tickets for Manchester, maybe about 12 for London XL. So I don't think the bubble has burst. And for full disclosure, we should point out that Birmingham and Dublin were the last events which were free for all when it came to purchasing tickets. So it'd be interesting to see with the balloted events whether the people who've got the tickets via the ballot will hold on to them and actually take part.
Yeah, yeah. What's the other good news in High Rocks?
This is excellent news, Alan. I was so happy to see this when it came out the other day. This is the announcement in 24-25 that High Rocks will have adaptive divisions. How amazing is this?
That's absolutely brilliant. We've campaigned for this for a while to have adaptive divisions. So is this going to be wheelchair based, or is it going to be different adaptations? Because we've got different. There's a lot of different types of adaptive athletes, isn't there? We've got people with limbs missing. We've got people with visual impairments, and we've got people in wheelchairs. What is it? Are they going to do them all, or is it just certain divisions?
They have currently got 9 different divisions. So you've got the seated division, and they've broken that down even more to seated athletes with hip function, without hip function, and without core function.
Oh, wow.
So their division be going with a seated athlete. You've then got neuromuscular. So you've got major, which is severe muscle weakness, nervous system, or coordination condition. And then you've got minor, so milder muscle weakness, nervous system, or coordination condition. And then you've got limb and sensory. So you've got lower limb impairment, upper limb impairment, short stature impairment, and visual hearing impairment. I should point out that short stature impairment is short height due to a skeletal condition. So as a disability, as opposed to just being below average height. So I suspect that these are the starting point for High Rocks. And what they'll probably do is, as the years go by, they'll start to break down those divisions even further as they get more and more athletes in each one.
I like it. I love it.
And wait, there's more. There'll be new impairment categories where allow athletes with impairments to compete in their own respective divisions. The top three male and female athletes from each impairment division per season will qualify for the World Championships.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's even better.
It's amazing. Well done to High Rocks. They have talked about this for a few years when we had Mintra on the Fitness Racing podcast almost 2 years ago now. It was probably 2022, late 2022. She discussed having more adaptive athletes in the sport, but they wanted to get it right. And I think it's a good first effort. I think it's a great way to include people. Yeah, you could probably argue, could there be more divisions? Yes, but there's probably not enough athletes yet. So having 9 divisions, which are clearly defined, and then you can just subdivide them in the future.
I'm loving it. IROCs are really moving forward with some of these ideas. It's because it's one company and it's one cohesion, and they are seen as the best in fitness racing by a lot of people. They can make these changes instantly. They don't have to look for a governing body as such and things like that to make them. But they are doing it the right way in, if that makes sense. I'm trying to make sense here. They're not just putting them in willy-nilly. They're taking the time to put it in, but they're doing it also fast. 2 years is not a long time. From the start of a concept to actually implementing it, 2 years is a relatively good idea.
It's a relatively short period of time, but it's enough time to get it right. So well done to High Rocks. Stepping away from High Rocks, let's give a quick shout out to anyone who's taking part in the London South East Spartan Trifecta weekend this weekend. Me and Alan will not be there, but if you are there, tag us in photos, send us any cool stuff that you record, give us a shot of your medal. And wrapping up on the Spartan, they also announced the Elite and Age Group series for next year in the UK. If you remember, a few weeks ago, we had Gary Bellinger on the call, didn't we, Alan? And he said that basically Spartan's going back to the future, in that they're going back to what they did a couple of years ago, where you have an elite category and you have the age group. And you have 5 races. So all the named Spartan races from next year will have a series race, but you only have to do 3 out of the 5. And do you want to go through them, Alan, or should I?
I'll do them. We've got London West, we've got the Super. We've also got the Super at the Midlands. In Scotland, we've got the Beast. And at South West, we've got the Beast. And then there's only London South East where you can get a sprint in. So it's interesting. 2 Supers, 2 Beasts, and a sprint.
What I like about that is because it's 3 out of 5, in theory, if you wanted to, you could do a bit of a trifecta for your series. You could do a super, a beast, or a sprint. But if you didn't fancy doing a beast, and particularly you're in the southeast, you could do London West, Midlands, and London Southeast, 2 supers and a sprint.
Exactly. If you're a short distance runner, you're going to do 2 supers and a sprint. If you're the long distance runners, you're going to throw 2 beasts in and a super.
The only bad side is Scotland to Southwest is a bit further than London West and Midlands. And what's quite interesting is I reckon the Scotland Beast will be a lot harder than the Southwest Beast, because Southwest will be at Badminton, the Tough Mudder course, which it's a little bit flatter than I expect Scotland to be.
I'm expecting Scotland to be super hilly, which that actually, talking about Scotland, leads me on to our final topic, Ian. The UK OCR series. Now, we are coming up to a point where we're going to be releasing events soon. We're right in the middle of negotiations, and we have just got to put pen to paper on one. But I want to tell people, but we aren't telling people, Ian. So how do I tell people that we're going to kick off at Tartan Warrior again, but we aren't telling people that?
I don't know if we can do that, Alan. There's no way you can tell the audience who are probably listening intently that we're starting at Tartan Warrior and us, I don't know, being able to edit that out. I'm not sure, Alan. We're going to have to be really clever because if we're not careful, they'll know we're going to start at Tartan Warrior.
Yeah, we can't tell people this because it's like pen to paper's not being done yet. So I'm thinking, what if we hint something along the lines, it's going to be north of where Alan and Ian live?
That's a great idea. And that it will have a kind of colour in its name.
Multicoloured, yeah. And it could be, if you watch Braveheart, you might have an idea.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't think anyone's going to be able to guess it's Tartan Warrior, Alan. What do you reckon?
I think that's enough clues. I think we've got enough clues there, Ian.
Yeah, I think we have. Should we wrap it up?
Let's wrap it up.
Awesome. Well, listener, we will eventually release where the UK OCR series is kicking off. See if you can guess the clues. But I think they're too fiendish. So, yeah, if anyone guesses them, let us know. But until next time, I'm going to say it's a goodbye from me.
And listeners, thank you for listening. You take care, you stay safe, and you keep on running. And don't forget, if you want to find out how I went to the Siege Summit, listen in Monday. Take care. Bye.